If you've been thinking of selling your food, your cakes, or your meal preps from home, did you know that you can actually do this in as little as 4 weeks? Today, I am going to walk you through exactly how to start your home-based food business from zero in the UK. My name is Anita, and I started my home-based food business right here in my kitchen. And over the years, I've learned the processes, the legal requirement to how to actually set up a full functioning business, registering the business, registering as a sole trader in the UK, building a brand, selling your product, how to cost your product effectively, and fully launching without any fancy equipment or a massive budget, because I definitely didn't have a big budget to start this business. I've had so many requests for this video on all my social media platforms. Today, I've decided to just break it down week by week on what to do to get fully started. It's just a 4 weeks plan because you can actually do this in just 4 weeks. If you just focus on the plan and focus on the tasks, you'll be able to get it done week by week within 4 weeks. So grab your notebook and your pen, and if you're like me, grab your iPad. Let's get talked in, talk about the plan from week 1. In week 1, we're going to be talking about the legal requirements, the planning, and the kitchen setup for the business. What does that look like generally? I'm also going to break it down in days as well. So let's talk about day 1. What do we need to do on day 1 to make sure that we've set ourselves up for success? On day 1, we need to be deciding our food concept. What are we thinking of selling? Is this just your general food, or are we thinking cakes? Are we thinking meal preps? Are we thinking just bulk orders? Are we thinking event catering? There are so many different options. So on day 1, you just need to decide what your food concept is going to be. This is where you need to start with your niche. You need to decide what your niche is going to be. It's very important to just pick 2 or 3 items, especially if you are starting a business from home. If you're like me, I have a relatively small kitchen. I don't have a lot of space to work with, and this is why it's very important to start small, to start with 2 or 3 products that you are very comfortable with. You know that you're going to execute this perfectly. You definitely don't want to start selling everything. That is not a good idea. We are thinking, do you want to sell baked good? Do you want to sell cakes? Do you want to do Caribbean plates? Do you want to do African cuisine, pasta dishes? Just think about things that you want to put in a niche that is comfortable to you. The best way to decide your niche is to think about items you can make consistently, affordably, and also you can make safely from home. That's all the task for day 1. We want to start small. We want to start with ease. All you need to do today is just to think about what you actually want to start. If you're like me, for my niche, I decided to go with African cuisine, specifically West African cuisine, because I am West African. I'm from Togo, and I enjoy cooking these meals because I grew up making these meals. I grew up eating these meals. That is the niche that I'm very comfortable in, and that's how I started my business, just selling West African food. One of the factors that also helped me decide my niche, apart from the fact that I'm comfortable making these dishes, I know that I can make them comfortably, affordably in my home, is the demand in the city that I was in. That definitely motivated me in starting this business. I moved to Sheffield for university. I quickly realized how diverse as the city is, there was a lack of African cuisine and lack of African restaurant takeaways and all of that. And like I said, I love me some African food. I love me West African cuisine. I wasn't able to get these items around me in my city. That definitely helped me to decide the business and the niche I've decided to go into for my business. That is day 1. So just spend the day thinking about that, because this is going to set the stone for the rest of the preparation to start our business. So we need to get this correctly. We need to make sure that we are patient with it. You need to just ask yourself those deep questions, ask yourself those honest questions, and give yourself an honest answer. To be very honest with yourself, to understand exactly what you are comfortable making. That is day 1. That is your homework for day 1. Go and find your niche and decide on a niche. Now that we've decided what our niche is going to be, I've completed day 1. Now let's go into day 2 and day 3 of week 1. Today we are looking at registering with your local council. This is the very first legal step you need to take. You need to register the business with your local council. And you can do this on the Gov website if you are in the UK, and it needs to be specifically with your local council. So the city you live in, the town you live in, that council is who you need to register the business with. You can basically do this on gov.uk. This is completely free. You don't need to pay anything to register your business, but the only thing is it needs to be done at least 28 days before your business starts. This is exactly why we are doing this in the first week, because our mindset, the plan is to start this business in 4 weeks, which is about 28 days. So we register the business with the council, with the government as early as possible, so there isn't any delay to start the business. Whatever starting date you've decided for your business, it needs to be done at least 28 days before the business start date. The good news is they are not expecting a perfect commercial kitchen. They are not expecting any of that. All they require is your hygiene is on point. There are safe practices in place. That is all the requirement there is. No matter what size kitchen you have, as long as you're taking care of your space, you're mindful of your hygiene, that is all your task today. Just register with your local council. They will give you details in terms of what you need to look out for, what the business needs, and all of that in terms of your safe practices. So just read up on that, register the business, and we are good for day 2. Now that we've completed day 2 and 3 and we have registered the business, we know exactly what business we're going into. On day 3 and 4, we are now thinking about completing your food and hygiene level 2. You need a food hygiene level 2, at least level 2, to make sure that you actually run this business. This is super simple. You can do this online. It takes about 2 to 3 hours to do. For someone who is familiar with the food business or hospitality businesses, you have an idea of what that entails. But if you have no clue and you're very new to this space, it might take you a bit longer. Especially if you are new to this space, I would recommend you take your time with this course, because this course is so important. The amount of information in this course is going to set you up well for this business. So take your time with it, read the document. There is an exam at the end as well, which is fantastic. You will get a certificate at the end to show that you have completed this course. Like I said, it takes about 2 to 3 hours to complete, and it costs anything between £10 to £25. You can look at this, you can find this online, quickly finding the course that fits for you. I did mine with Food Standards Agency. Not only is the course from them, but they have so many different document courses to do there as well. It's absolutely fantastic, and you learn so much from this course. It's super important to get this done at the very early stages of you starting this business. Once you complete the course, you'll get a certificate sent to your home. It's usually, you get a physical copy, and I believe you can also get an online copy as well, because you create an account and you can download an online copy, but they send it to your home anyway, so that's absolutely fine. This course is going to prove that you understand cross-contamination, you understand temperature control, allergies, allergens, all the essentials, all the health safety tips for starting a food business, especially if you're starting from home. This course is going to go through all of that. Your certificate is proof that you understand all of those topics. And that is day 3 and 4 completed in week 1. This is going to set you up correctly for the rest of the time. Once you've done this course, you can understand the deep ends of starting a food business and all the legal requirements and all the general knowledge that you need to know to make sure that this business is safe and compliant. Now that we have completed the 3 and 4, we are on to the 5 to 7. This is where we get our kitchen ready. You need to make sure that the kitchen is inspection ready, because you are going to get inspected. Because you've registered your business with the council, obviously they now know that there is a business starting. That means that they will send an inspector to your home. They are going to assess everything, literally everything. You need to prepare for this to happen. How you prepare for that will include making sure that you've done any deep cleaning that needs to be done, especially at the start of the business. You want to start perfectly. You want to start on the right foot. A deep clean is absolutely necessary. What I personally did in that, I hired a cleaner, professional cleaner. She did a great job. I highly recommend that. I highly recommend you a professional cleaner that's going to clean literally every part of your kitchen to make sure that it's top notch. You are also going to make sure that you have proper sanitizers, proper disinfectants and all of that. You need to make sure that you stock up on those. When I say proper sanitizers, I'm not just talking the general one that you get in a normal store. There's nothing wrong with that, but as a legal requirement, it needs to be a specific sanitizer, especially when it comes to sanitizers and disinfectants. For sanitizers, you need to get one. Obviously, you need to read the back of the label to make sure that it's the EN1276 or it can be the EN13697. I will pop that on the screen for you as well. You can literally get that at any catering businesses. Usually like Nisbets is really good for like all your catering needs. But yeah, you just need to make sure that when you're reading the back of the label, it has all those codes at the back, and that's how you're gonna know that this sanitizer is compliant. Because in my year one of my assessment, I actually got a 4 instead of a 5 just because of my sanitizer, because I didn't have the government rated one. So this is actually very important because it can make and break your score. As part of preparing your kitchen, you also need to make sure that you have separate storage spaces for your business and your home. Obviously, we are starting the business from home. We need to be making sure that nothing is mixing together just to avoid any cross-contamination. Obviously, you're not going to stop using your kitchen to cook your normal weekly meals or daily meals, but the way to do this is to get separate storage spaces for your business. It doesn't have to be put in new cabinets or anything like that. If you have the space for that, absolutely fantastic, go ahead and do that. Like me, I didn't have any space to put in a new counter or a new cabinet. You can just get like those standing, any plastic storage or any sort of storage to make sure that all your business equipment are stored away and are different from your home equipment. Or the easiest ways to actually do this is to reassess your kitchen, see the spaces that you already have, and see if you can tweak a few things. Can you throw some things out? Because I personally knew that I had to throw out so many things, pots and pans that I don't need anymore. Throw them out to create some more space for your business, and dedicate a different cabinet that is probably just has a lot of junk in there that you can just clear out and just dedicate that for the business. And that is probably the cheapest way to do this. But essentially, you just need to make sure that you have proper storage to separate business from home. You also just need to make sure that you have a thermometer to check your food temperature. You also need to make sure that you are registering your fridge and freezer temperature as well. You just need to make sure that you're logging that. You are going to be asked to show that during your inspection. So make sure that you are logging your temperature for your fridge and your freezer. Last but definitely not least is to make sure that there are no pets in the kitchen during food preparation. This is super important because this makes your food environment safe and compliant, especially when your health inspector comes to visit and comes to inspect this. They are obviously going to be on the lookout for this. It's just very important to make sure that there are no pets in your cooking and your food environment. And that's week 1 done. I feel like this week is packed with the most important things. Obviously, every single step is important, but this week is packed with so many important steps to make sure that we have set ourselves up properly for the business. But at the same time, there aren't too many tasks, because sometimes when you have so many things going on at the same time, you just lose track. It's better to take it step by step to make sure that you have everything in place. If you just complete all these tasks, you will be ready to go and ready to start in week 2. Welcome back to week 2. Yay! We've completed week 1 and we are ready to get tucked in. In week 2, we are looking at product testing, we are looking at branding and costing. These are the meaty parts of the business. We are thinking all about our business and we're thinking about all about our product. Week 2 is definitely where your passion project is going to really lead. This is really where you are improving your products. Yes, you know, if you're like me, like I said, I've been cooking my African meals for forever, for as long as I can remember, and I eat it all the time. So I know exactly what it tastes like or what it should taste like, and I know how to cook it. But there's nothing wrong with improving your products, especially the 2 to 3 items that are going to be on your menu. This is the week where we try it, we test it. Can I add more seasoning? Can I add more salt? Can I remove this ingredient? Can I change it up? See what works. Have your customers and your audience in mind. You know, see how you can just change a few things to make sure that the product is perfect. And this is all we're going to focus on this week. Not only are you focusing on improving your products, we are also looking at testing the recipe, also looking at our measurements. Oh, this is so important. The measurement is important to know exactly your portion sizes, because what we want to do is to make sure that the portion and the measurement is right every single time so that it's identical. You don't want one week where the food is tasting correct and the next minute the food is tasting too salty. You don't not want any of that. You want your business to be consistent. You want your meals to be consistent so that when your customers are coming to you, they know exactly how the food is going to taste and they know exactly what to get from you. And this is the week where you're going to do that. Another thing that is super important this week is to time yourself while you're doing all your testing, because if you're like me, you're going to do quite a few tests. You're going to trial and error. You're going to do a few tests to make sure that you get it perfectly. This is a time where you need to time it yourself so that you know exactly what your labor cost is going to be. This is so important, because I feel like sometimes when we start a business, if you're like me anyway, we forget about the labor cost. We forget about all the work that you're doing and all the work that you're putting in, your time, your effort, all of that. But no, this is a proper business that we're starting and all of that is included. And while you're testing your product this week is when you're timing yourself. Okay, it takes me an hour to make puff puff, for example. Okay, this is how I can cost it to make sure that I'm being paid as well. We're in business. We are supposed to be making profit. Otherwise, the business is non-existent. This is when you do all of that. Recipe testing and consistency is going to take up day 8 to day 10. Give yourself time. Be patient with it, Be patient with it. Take your time and just test it out. You can make one meal a day, test it out, see how it is, make the next one the next day. So this is why I'm giving you enough time, day 8 to 10, to just focus on getting your recipe perfect. Now we're on to day 11, and this is where we are focusing on costing and pricing. I love this part. We are in business to make money. So this is the place where you make sure that your costing and your pricing is absolutely correct. Again, as I mentioned before, you are adding in every single thing, literally every single aspect, every single item needs to be accounted for. Take it from me, this is definitely the number one mistake beginners make. Guessing prices. You can't afford to be guessing prices. No. This is where we get it wrong, because that's what I did in my first month in business. I just, this should cost £8. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to take everything into consideration. We are talking, if you're doing your costing all together, we are talking your ingredients, we are talking your time, we are talking packaging. You need to add your utilities in as well. That's another thing we forget. Your electric, your gas, your pots, your equipment, all of that needs to go in there as well. We are also talking deliveries, if that's obviously applicable. If people are just collecting from you, that's absolutely fine. But if you're delivering, you need to think about that cost as well. Once you've taken all of that into consideration, you then need to set a price that gives you profit. Very, very important. Make sure that you're not undercharging, and make sure that you're not overcharging either. Even though many businesses have thrived on overcharging, which is absolutely fine. But as a new business, we are starting new, we are new in the game. You just need to make sure that you get this correctly. That's how customers are going to trust you. That's how they're going to keep coming back to you. The worst thing you can do is undercharge. We don't want to do that at all. And that's everything for day 11. Again, super quick, super easy. Have a sit down, grab a cup of tea, and just, work on your costing. This will be super easy because the day before or the 2 days before that, we've done our timing, we've done our product testing. We know exactly how long it takes us to cook. All of that, you have an idea of all of that. Costing it should be so much easier because you have all this data from the last few days, and you can just put that on paper with a nice cup of tea or coffee if you're like me. Just put a price on and see exactly how you can charge your customers properly. Another thing that I'll probably advise is look at the competitors in the market. Make sure that if there are any competitors, if there are other people doing the same thing, it doesn't necessarily need to be in your city. It can literally be in other cities as well, maybe in the same country. How much are people charging for this muffin, for example? How much are people charging for a meat pie, for example? Okay, people are charging £3.50. Okay, maybe if you look at your costing, I can probably charge £2.50 and still make a profit. Do that. Compare it, see. What you don't want to do is undercharge yourself. So as long as you're charging in a way where you're taking all your costs out and you're still making a profit, that is fantastic. That is one of the ways that you can definitely do that. I would definitely say do it both ways though. Look at your competitors and also do your own analysis and make your own sort of like decisions based on your own data as well, because your competitors might be making meat pies, but they might be making meat pies a different way than you are making it. So it might take you a bit longer. All of those things, you just need to focus on those. Use your competitors competitors to compare, but don't focus on them too much. Focus on your business and what you need to do to make sure that you make a profit. We've completed day 11 and we know exactly what our pricing and the costing is going to be. And now we're on to day 12 to 13. This is where we're really going to think about creating a brand. And when I'm talking about creating a brand, I'm not talking about the marketing and the personal branding and all of that. I am just talking about your actual branding. I am talking logo. I am talking about flyers. I am talking about menu templates. I am talking about social media banners. I am talking about all of those things. Probably the first thing we all think about in this sort of scene is your logo. If you have a business, you need to have a logo. You need to have something that people can associate your business with. This is the time, this next day or two is where you need to really focus on that. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. It just needs to be, something that means something to you, that you can relate to, get your creativity minds working. You don't need to pay tons and tons and tons for this. You don't need to do all of that. Use Canva. Canva is amazing. That's literally all I use since I started my business, and I still use it now. You can literally find so many inspiration on Canva for logos, for templates, for banners, for all sorts. It's the perfect tool to use if you're starting a business. Honestly, I can't recommend it enough. And when we're talking about creating your branding, we are also linking that into social media. Guys, I can't recommend social media enough. You don't have a choice. When it comes to me, and I say this, if you've taken part in my coaching session, you will know that I talk about this quite a lot. I am all for social media, especially when it comes to your business. We need to be making sure that when we're talking about branding, we are focusing on social media. When I say focusing on social media, at the very start, today we're not doing too much. This is where we are thinking about picking a name that is available on social media. So we're looking at maybe TikTok and we're looking at Instagram. So those are the two that we are sort of focusing on at the start of the business. Make sure that you're picking a name that is memorable, that is available, that associates really well with your business and your story. That's all you need to do. You don't even need to start posting or thinking about how you're going to set up your account and all of that. Just make sure that you pick a name. It's all those things on social media. So we are looking, when I started on Instagram, and Instagram now links to your Facebook as well. So you've got basically 2 in 1. So your Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok as well, that I started a few months later. But I highly recommend you start those, at least those at the very start of the business, to get a head start. And that is the 12 and 13. That's all you need to think about. You just need to sort out your branding, create your branding, think about your color palette, what sort of colors you're bringing in, what sort of colors relate to you, the name, the logo, and all of that. That's all you need to do today or the next couple of days. Now we are on to day 14. We are getting along very nicely, which I love. Day 14 is all about labeling requirement. It depends on how you're going to be serving your food. If you're looking at labeling requirement, this is a very legal part of the whole thing. How are you going to package your food? What sort of packaging are you using? Depends on that and how you're actually going to be delivering your food to your customers. You need to think about all those different aspects as well. For packaging food, you must include the full ingredient list. We are also talking about allergens, and they need to be bolded because it needs to be very, very clear, very, very visible, because probably the most important thing, allergies are so serious. Like, it can literally be fatal. So make sure that you're listing your allergens correctly on your food packaging as well. It needs to include your business name and obviously business address as well, the weight of the food if that's applicable, and of course best before and use by date. Those are really, really important. Now, this goes more for pre-packed food that, you're going to be sending and all of that, like pre-packed food, like sauces, like things that are going to be like, manufacture, pre-pack and all of that, yeah. But if it's, food that you're making, in my case, like I do delivery, or, pick up and all of that, these aren't necessarily things that I can include. What I can do is, and which I've done, is to include those disclaimers on my website and on my delivery account, for example, so that people are aware of those things and they know exactly what the ingredients are in the items that they are ordering. So that's one way of doing it. So you don't need to literally, add in your label on every single takeaway pack. You don't need to do that. You just need to make sure that your menu includes that, whether it's online or physical, to make sure that people know exactly what's in the food. Because honestly, I can't stress this enough. This is so important to get that right, especially your allergens. This is not only important just because it's actually, to make sure that your food is legally compliant, to be making sure that we are doing this the correct way. And that is the packaging requirement. That is our labeling requirement for day 14. Not a lot to do today. It's just about thinking about those important things. And, because of how important this is, we are focusing a whole day on this to make sure that we get this perfect. I can't believe we are in week 3 already. Wow, how time flies, eh? We are in week 3. By now, we know exactly what our niche is going to be. We know exactly what we are making. We've done our branding. We've thought about our logo. We've thought about registering the business, done our food hygiene level 2. We are set. And now we're in week 3, and this is where we are thinking about equipment, admin, and your marketing setup. These, again, are so important points for your business. So let's get right into that. This is from day 15 to day 16. This is where we are thinking about buying our essential equipment. Now, let me just say this. You don't need a huge budget for this. You don't need to buy all the equipment in the world. You really don't. Please take it from me. You don't need to do all of that. You can literally start this business with what you already have. And that is the beauty of it. You just need your essentials, okay? And if you want to start a food business, I am taking it just like me. Like I said, I cook all the time. I have all of these equipment readily available. So that is most likely going to be you too. So think about what you can repurpose, what you can use, all of those things, okay? We just need essentials. And when I'm talking about essentials, we are talking about digital thermometers, for example. That is definitely number one. Like I said, your inspector is going to be asking for that. Then we are looking at your food safety containers. Like I said, we talked about storage and all of that. So super important. So make sure that you have all these containers available, and like storage containers, stuff that you can pack stuff away in. We need that as well. We are also looking at color-coded cutting boards, okay? You can get this from catering companies. Those are super important as well, because you need to make sure when we are looking at cross-contamination, especially when you're using a home kitchen in the same kitchen while you're cooking other things as well. This is super important. You need to have a certain board for certain things, okay? So your vegetable board is different from your meat board and your fish board, all of that kind of thing, because seafood is an allergen. So that is just an example of one. We are making sure that we are separating things. You're not using the same board for literally everything, okay? So have like color-coded ones, which is highly recommended. You just need to make sure that there are different boards for your different preparations of your separate ingredients. You probably need scales as well. Especially if you're doing baked goods and all of that, like you're baking and all of that, and to make sure that we're getting the right measurement, like we talked to in week 1 and week 2 about making sure that your food is consistent. Then you need your scales to make sure that your ingredients are correct and they are the same every single time. And we're looking at high quality packaging as well. Okay, what boxes are the food gonna go into? What bowls are you going to use? If your plastic containers, are they going to be 500 ml, 650 ml, a liter? All of those things. If you're doing bulk orders, are you doing them in 2 liters, 4 liters, 10 liters like I do? Or there are or they are just all different, okay? You need to be making sure that they are high quality, food graded packaging. That is so important. You don't want to use packaging that's not food graded for your food business. So make sure that we are covering all those bases. And you just need to make sure that you have your apron as well. Super important. You have your proper clothing as well. Very important. And you also have, if you're like me, gloves. I love wearing gloves. I'm so used to wearing them now. And the main reason for me personally to wear gloves is because I have acrylics. I get my nails done. This is literally the one thing that I do for myself every single month, and I can't stop doing that. I love going to the nail salon and getting my nails done. That's one of my favorite things to do every month. So I'm not going to stop doing that anytime soon, which means that I'm going to be wearing gloves. But you do need to know that, washing your hands and not wearing gloves is absolutely fine, and is the best way to do it because it's so much better. Like I said, the only reason I wear gloves is because my acrylics, and I'm just trying to protect that, and obviously make sure that I'm safe, and all of that. Gloves, if you're like me, then you need to get some food graded gloves. Okay, make sure that it's food graded. It's a food grade gloves and not just any gloves out there. Okay, make sure that you're packed up on it because you're going to be changing it consistently. You're going to be washing your hands consistently whether you're wearing gloves or not. So make sure that you are well stocked up on those as well. Your apron, your clothes. For me, for example, I have a few t-shirts that I wear specifically for cooking for my business, so that they again separate business from home and all that kind of things, to make sure that we're separating all of that. Then delivery bags, again, this is another thing. Don't splash on getting the one with the logo, the branding, all of that. Just get a simple bag at the start of the business, and then while you're making profit, you can reinvest that into getting proper labeling. If you do have the funds to do it though, absolutely go for that. Make sure you get bags that are representing your business in the best way possible, and that's absolutely fine. But just make sure that you get delivery bags as well, because if you're delivering, then you will need that. And that is day 15 and 16. Again, not a lot of work. This is just where we are thinking about how we can all of our equipment to make sure that we are ready. Apart from the stuff that I mentioned, those are stuff that you might not necessarily think about, but obviously we're not forgetting the pots, the kitchen utensils, all of those. I don't need to mention all of that, and that's why I didn't include that in the list, but those are obviously your most important things. So your pots, your pans, your skillet, all of the things that you need to actually cook. Make sure that you have plenty of kitchen utensils, serving cutleries, all of those things. Make sure that you have all of those readily available as well. These are things, again, you will probably have in your kitchen already, so you don't need to be spending so much money on pots and pans and all of that. And you don't need to have separate pots, because someone asked me this in my coaching session the other day. You don't need to have separate pots for your business and your home, as long as obviously you're just making sure that they are properly clean and you're staying on top of your hygiene and maintaining those things. That is absolutely fine. Now we are on to day 17 and 18. And again, this, you can literally do this in a day. You don't need 2 days for it. But again, we have done so much in week 1, week 2, and now into week 3 that, we just need to take it easy. And today we are thinking about registering as a sole trader. In the UK, if you're making money, you need to register with the HMRC. That's how it is. I don't make the rules. This is not something that I want either, you guys, but that is how it is. And as we are starting a business, we want to make sure that we are compliant legally and otherwise. And this is one of the things that you definitely need to do. Okay, again, it's quick, it's simple, it's free, so you don't need to pay for any of that. You just need to make sure that you go on HMRC website and you register as a sole trader. Okay, this is now where you need to just make sure that you keep everything simple. This is an area that I am still learning, even though I've been in the business for nearly 3 years now. I am still learning this part. It's for me personally, it's a challenging part, but you can always get help for this. There are so many different tools out there to help you to make sure that you know how to do this. But the simplest way to explain this is to make sure that you keep all your records. Okay, so make sure that you keep your income, the records for your income, your expenses, your receipts. Make sure that you have all of those at hand in case you need that. Probably the only thing that you need to do in this part is just to register. Once you register, like I said, there are tools in place to help you with this, and you can always get help. Okay, you can always hire an accountant. We don't need to do that just yet, but I'm giving you ideas for later on when it comes to that season where you need to register, claim, and when you need to fill in the tax form and all of that. In I think it's April and January, I can't remember. But when you need to do all of that, you can then think about getting an accountant like I did, because I'm like, this is out of my hands. Like, I can't do this. So, that is what you can do then. But for now, we just need to make sure that we are reading up on, if you're not very familiar, like I wasn't, I didn't know the difference between all the different codes and the name for businesses and all of that. So I had to read what a sole trader is and if that is best for my business. So that's all you need to do today. Read up on it if you have no clue about it, like I didn't. Get your informations in and then go on the HMRC website, just register as a sole trader. This is important. It needs to be done. That is what we are focusing on. And that is all it is for day 17 and 18. Now that we've registered as a sole trader and we have everything in place for the business, we are now on to day 19 and 20. And this is literally my favorite day. This is the day where we are building our social media presence. Oh my God. This is going to just be the start of a great thing for your business. As I mentioned a few days ago, I said that, you just need to think about your business and your social media name, and maybe you can open an account, set up something. You don't need to start posting, but on day 19 to 20 is where we're going to start thinking about what we're going to be posting and all of that. And it's actually the time where you're going to start posting for your business. I would highly recommend, and it's very important that you don't wait until launch date, to say that you're going to start posting today. I would say start posting now. Start sharing the behind the scenes, your menu teasers, all the testing that you've done in week 1, some of the recordings that you have from there. This is a time to share that with us, the behind the scene, like I said, packaging sneak peeks, any taste test that you have done. This is the time to share all of that. One of the best way to launch your business is definitely to build curiosity and a buzz behind it. And this is why it's important to start sharing on social media before you go live with your business. Okay, you want people to be anticipating. You want people to, to be curious, to know, what's coming up, and you want people to be invested in the business. If you're sharing all the behind the scenes, or all the different aspects of the business, people are literally going to be waiting for when you launch the actual business. And this is why it's highly recommended that you start posting before your launch date. For me personally, the way I did this was weirdly in a different way. What I started doing was I started on Instagram. I opened an Instagram account and also Facebook, because obviously, like I said, it links together. I literally just started posting recipes. A little bit of the other way around, but that's what I did. I started posting recipes. I love cooking already. A friend of mine actually advised me to do this. She was like, at that point, I was like, I'm not sure about starting this business. I'm not sure, if I want to really do this. And she was like, okay, well, just open a page, okay, name it what you want your business to be named, and start posting recipes on there. So, I started posting recipes that I already cook. I already make these foods at home. So I just started recording them and posting them. What I used to do, and I still do that sometimes today on my Instagram, is sharing like my daily eats, like things that I'm having for dinner, for lunch, all of that. I will share that on my story, on my Instagram. And that created a nice buzz. People started following my page. From then, people started asking me if this is a business. At that point, I hadn't even announced that this is a business. And people started asking me, do you sell this plate of jollof rice, for example? Do you sell this food, for example? I'm like, okay. Because what that actually did for me personally, it motivated me to actually go in with this business, because the inquiries were coming in. People were curious. People were asking these questions. Are you available to cater? Do you cater? Do you sell this food? And that definitely helped me to actually decide to go into this business. And another thing that this actually helped me more than anything was to decide on my menu, because people were constantly asking for certain things, and I'm like, these are actually most popular dishes, so this is what's going to be on my menu. So I would highly, highly recommend you start thinking about how you're going to, start sharing your journey, you're sharing your business on social media, and we are going to start posting today. Now we're on to day 21, and today we're going to start thinking about creating your ordering system. How are people going to order? There is no point creating this business, doing all this work, and we don't know how people are going to order from us, okay? And this is super, super important, but you can make this as simple as possible. Don't overcomplicate this, because this can actually be a very stressful part, because you want to get this correct, okay? The amount of time, how many many times have you tried to buy something from a business and the ordering system and the ordering process is just too long, it's just too complicated, and you even gave up on patronizing that business, or you even gave up on supporting that person, that business. Okay, so this is why this is very, very important. We need to get this right. We need to make sure that this is very simple for the customer. It's a simple and enjoyable process for the customer. As a new business, as we are starting this in a very simple way. There are so many tools out there. So if I'm thinking about ordering processes, again, I'm thinking, if we're doing social media, we're looking at DMs. That's the number one, okay? We're looking at DMs, so your Instagram DMs, perfect. That is what I did for a very long time before I started putting other systems in place. Instagram DM, fantastic, okay? Another thing as well is to get a business line. That is another thing that I did as well. So a business line just for your business, okay? No, if you want to use your personal phone, that's fine, but I would highly recommend you get a business line, and that is, people can place orders, to send you a message to place an order, and people can inquire via maybe WhatsApp or messaging. They can obviously call you as well. Highly recommend get a business line if you can. Another ordering system can also be Google Forms. Google Forms, very, very effective. It's free, why not? Why not? So that's another way of doing it. So yeah, another simple way as well. WhatsApp Business, I use that till date. Fantastic, fantastic. You can make calls on there. You can get orders on there. Again, that's what I was saying about getting a business line. WhatsApp Business also makes it easy to collect your orders and also track your payments as well. There are so many different aspects to it. Those are some of the simple ways of putting an ordering system in place. I will think about doing that now because we are approaching the launch date and we want to be making sure that this is in place. So as soon as you launch, people know exactly how to order from you. We are in week 4 and this is the final week. Don't we love it? Oh, absolutely. And week 4, we have done all the necessary parts of launching this business. And in week 4, we are looking at trial runs, we are looking at cleaning, and we are looking at launching this business fully. This is the most exciting week. This was the most, scary, stressful, and exciting week I had when I was launching my business because, you just making sure, oh my God, am I really doing this? Yes, we are, because it's going to be absolutely worth it. Okay. And now we are on to day 22 to 24. This is where we're going to be focusing on soft launch testing. Guys, I cannot recommend this part enough. I cannot. I feel like when I was starting my business, this was probably the most important thing I did, because how I did it is I actually hosted a cookout that ended up being a yearly thing. So ever since I started my business, I did a cookout to launch my business, and now every single year, because of how well it went and how well it has been, every single time, once the summer is coming, everybody's in my messages, in my DMs. When is the next cookout? This is very, very important. Okay, you need to make sure that you've done a launch testing. This is the opportunity to do a practice run, and how you can do this is you can cook a small batch of food of your menu and basically give your samples to your friends and family. This is going to give you so much insight. And how I personally did it was I invited 30 people, my cookout, and I did a spread. I did it in a different way because I basically made a spread of so many different dishes. I included the dishes that are going to be on my menu straight away, and I also included dishes that I'm thinking to add on my menu in the near future, just to get a perspective on feedback from different people. That is how I did it. I did a whole spread and just invited my friends and family. You don't need to go out and invite people that you don't know. This can just be friends and family and people who are going to be honest with you. If your family and your friends are anything like mine, they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you if this is, they'll be like, girl, we need to rethink this. So this is why it's important to do this, okay? We are looking to ask for honest feedback. I can't stress that enough. The feedback needs to be honest. This is not time to fear hurting anyone's feelings, okay? Because this is the time where you're not only going to share the food, you're not only going to share the menu with them, you're going to share the pricing, you're going to share the portion sizes, you're going to share the packaging with them, and everything that comes with that. Okay, obviously they're going to taste the flavor as well. And that is where they're going to say to you, right, okay, this jollof can be a bit better. This egusi soup can be, this meat pie is a bit dry. What can you add a bit more butter? What can you do? Okay. This feedback is going to set your business up for the rest of its time. So it's very, very important for you to do this research. And again, asking for those things. Okay, what do you think about this portion size for £10? And these people, they eat out. Then they know what food costs. They eat out all the time. They've bought food before. They're like, yeah, okay, this portion of jollof rice for £10. Yeah. That is good. Or nah, this is too small for £10, girl. Add a bit more. Or if they were like me, in my case, they were telling me this portion is too big for £10. Because one of the comments I always get from my customers is how generous my portions are. I just don't know how to give out small food. So I am trying to work on that to make sure that I am getting that right. That's what they were telling me. Like, Anita, this is a lot. This is a lot for £10, So every feedback is welcome. Every feedback is very important. And it doesn't matter what they tell you. This is why we are doing this sample session, to make sure that we're getting all this feedback, and so that you can, adjust a few things and go big with the business. This is why this is so, so important. I can't recommend this enough. Okay. So this is where we are thinking about this. The 22 to 24 is where we are bringing this together, before the actual launch date. Now we're on to day 25 to 26, and this is super, super important. This is happening, you guys. We are getting so close to the business launching, and on this day, we are actually thinking about final hygiene review. The first deep clean we did was in week 1 or 2. So we've been using the kitchen. Remember, it's our home kitchen, so I'm sure we'll be using it. So as we are approaching launch day, which is in a couple of days, it's important that we do these final hygiene checks. Okay, so I would highly recommend you do another deep clean of the kitchen. Check your logs to make sure that everything is logged in properly. Your temperature checks, your thermometer is working properly. If you need to readjust that and retest it, do all of that. You making sure that you update your allergen sheet. If anything has changed from your trial run or your tasting sessions, adjust that in the allergen sheets to make sure that it's all updated on there. And we are also making sure that we are preparing our station for launch date. This is the exciting part. This is when we know that this is definitely happening. You're getting all of those things in place so that you're ready to go. The most important thing of this whole thing is that we are making sure that we are working as safely as possible for you and for your customers. That's the most important thing of this whole business, of this whole situation that we are trying to put in place. Food hygiene, safe environment, safety all around. Okay, we want to be making sure that we are putting everything in place to make sure that we do everything the best that we can. Okay, and this is why the final hygiene check is so, so important before you launch in a couple of days. And that is basically day 25 to day 26. Now we're on to launch day. Oh, don't we love it? Okay, this is day 27 to 28. Okay, we are on the final day of this 4-week schedule, and the tasks that we needed to complete all throughout. This is launch day. This is launch day. This is the most exciting part. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Okay, today all you need to do is, like I said, this is day 27 to 28. We are most likely going live on day 28. So day 27, you're thinking about posting your menu. You're thinking about announcing the actual live date. Your launch date doesn't necessarily have to be your live date. It doesn't necessarily have to be the day where you are taking orders. It can just be the day you are announcing your business and you're announcing when you're going to start taking orders. Okay, like I did, for example, I announced my launch date. I did a post with my menu to let my customers know what my menu offerings, my opening date, how they can order, where they can find me, all of those things. I did that on launch day, and then I told them that I'm going to start taking orders for this specific day. In my case, I started taking orders, I think, about 5 days after I launched my business. So I think, if I remember correctly, I just posted my my business launch day on a Monday, and I started taking orders on the Friday, obviously the weekend, which is the perfect time. Obviously, if you're a food business, the weekend is probably, the best time that, that's where we reach out to our customers the most. That's where, we get our customers coming to us the most. So that's what I did in my case. So you can do that. It doesn't have to be, I'm taking orders from today. Give people time to actually see your post. Give people time to actually know about your business. And this is why I said it's important for us to start posting from a few days back, so that they are anticipating, they are curious about it. So as you announce it, they know, oh, straight away orders are coming in. They know exactly how they can place an order with you. And then, if you're starting in a few days, you are ready, you are prepared, you can get your stock and all of those things for your business to get started. Very, very important to post your menu. Again, as mentioned before, limit your menu so you're not too overwhelmed, okay? 2 to 3 items on there. It's better to do it small and do it well at the start, at least. Eventually you can start adding things on the menu. That's exactly what I did. I think I had like 4 items on there with like maybe 2 sides on there. That's it, and then as the business was going on, I was not only doing rice, but I was also doing soups, stews, all of those things. And that is the best way to do it. Get your foot in, see what it's like, how you can manage your time, how you can manage your kitchen. Can you do this safely? Can you do more safely? How you can go about doing all of that to make sure that your customers are happy, because that is the number one thing, of course, and to make sure that you're not too overwhelmed. The last thing we want is for you to get so overwhelmed first few weeks and you end up giving up on the business. We don't want that. We don't want that. So make sure that you're doing it slowly, steady, but surely. As mentioned as well, your launch date is where you can share your behind the scenes. Continue sharing that. That never stops. If you know anything about business and social media, it never stops. You just have to keep posting, and keep sharing your behind the scenes. And people love seeing the process, okay? People love coming on that journey with you and, sharing a bit of your personality as well. People love all of that. So they are going to, want to see all the behind the scenes of that. And that's how they're going to invest in you and invest in your business. So this is the day that you do all of that. And that's exactly how you start your food business from home in the UK. You just need to keep it simple. This can be done in just 4 weeks, guys. 4 weeks and you are ready to go. You just need to keep it simple, keep it small, focus on it. Stay consistent and don't be afraid to grow slowly. You don't need to do everything all at once. Step by step. Don't be afraid to grow slowly, because you will grow. You will grow. If you stay consistent, if you invest into it, you will grow. So don't be afraid to start small and grow slowly. Every big business started with just one plate of food, guys. That's the best way to think about it. You just need to start. You just need to start. Just sort of my final advice, to give you in all of this, a few points. I know that I'm going to forget some. Not that anything else is more important than others, but make sure that your customers are, at the forefront of your mind. Make sure that your customers are sort of like what you are thinking about all the time, okay? They are on the front, the middle. Every part of the business is about your customers, okay? Customer service is so, so, so important. I can't stress how important having a good customer service is. It makes or breaks the business, because when you have a good customer service, people will want to support you. So this is why it's important to offer good customer service. Listen to your customers, listen to their feedback. Try, how can I relate to my customers? And this is why social media is such a powerful tool, because every business needs marketing. You can't survive in business without marketing. Every single business needs marketing. Social media is the best way to do it, because it's actually just free marketing. You don't need to start paying for TV adverts, billboards. You can literally just share your journey on social media. People will buy into that. And when people are coming to you, listen to them. Offer a service with a smile. Be willing to go above and beyond for your customers, okay? And just offer good customer service, because that is what is going to keep people coming back to your business. Another major advice that I will give you, because I personally went through that as well, is, to make sure that you are taking care of yourself throughout this whole process. I started my food business from home while I was working full-time as well, which is not necessarily going to be the case for all of you guys. This might just be the only business you're doing and this is your sole business. That's absolutely fine. Right now, it is my sole business because I've gone full-time with it. But for the first 2 years of the business, I was working full-time while I was running this business because I was doing so much. I completely forgot about taking care of myself and resting. It's so important to rest. It's so important to take a step back. When it's getting a bit too much, just take a step back and think about, what can I do to rest? Take regular breaks. Okay, take regular breaks. If it means going somewhere and just not thinking about business for a bit, do that. If it means, just resting, not looking at your phone for a day, do that. If it means just sleeping all day, do that. Whatever rest means to you, make sure you are taking those steps to rest. I can't stress that enough, because eventually what's going to happen is that you are just going to break down. And it's just not going to be very pretty, because that's what happened to me. It came to a point where you will get sick. Your mental health will suffer it, and eventually your business will also suffer it. I would definitely advise, make sure that you're taking care of yourself all throughout this process, because as much as I said, it's an easy process to go through in terms of setting up the actual business. Running a business is not easy. I am never going to be the one to tell you that running a business is easy, because it's not. Everybody knows that it's not. It's going to require a lot of you to actually get this right and get this working properly, and it's a constant thing. It's not just going to be a one-day thing and then the business is set up for life. No, it's an investment that you have to keep going into, which means that you need to invest in yourself as well. Okay, take your vitamins, drink your water, eat good, take regular break, and go and rest. Okay, because your business is also going to thank you for it. Your body's going to thank you for it. Your family, your friends, everybody around you is going to thank you for it. So that is probably my biggest advice, because I went through a really tough period because I did not take care of myself for a long time. I always say this: make sure you look out for yourself and have your customers in mind. Those are my parting gifts for you. We've come to the end of this video. If you've been thinking about doing this thing for a long time and you've just been putting it off, I hope that this has given you some ideas. It has inspired you to actually go for it. If this is your passion, the number one thing I would say that you require for this is passion. If you're passionate about, you need to be passionate about it, because as I said before, it's not easy. I'm not going to be the one to tell you, oh, this is easy. It's not easy at all. Cooking, it's not easy, even if you're cooking for your family. So talk less of doing it as a business. It really is not easy. So you need to have a passion from this, because this is going to take hours and hours of your day. If you're doing this solely full-time like I am, it takes hours and hours. And if you're doing this as a sole business owner, you don't have a team behind you, you are everything for your business. Literally, I am the editor for my videos, marketing, customer service, taking orders, cooking the food, delivery. I am literally everything for my business right now, and eventually the business will grow where I will have a team. For most of us, that's what it's going to be. It requires attention. It requires a lot from you. Only way you can do this is if you're passionate about this. If this is something that you actually want to do. This is not just a business you say, oh, let me see how it goes. No. It's not that kind of business, okay? It's not that kind of business. So, you have to have passion for it. And when you have passion for it and you really have the determination and the mindset to get it right and to do it, trust me, it's worth it. You will do it. You thank yourself for it. It's fantastic. That is the video. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you have any questions whatsoever, if there are any things that I did not cover, make sure that you ask me the questions in the comments, and I will try my absolute hardest to go through all of them and answer all your questions. If there is anything else, any other videos that you want me to do to cover any other topics relating to obviously the business, any of this at all, let me know. I can definitely make more videos to cover those topics as well. But yeah, comments down below if this resonated with you, if you're inspired, if you're going to start, and let me know if you are actually going to start your business. What business is it? What city are you in? Yeah, let's get that going. Thank you so much for sticking with me for this long. I really hope this was really helpful. I always appreciate you. I see all your comments in my videos and I genuinely appreciate you so much. And thank you so much. I hope that your business is prosperous. I hope that it's fantastic. It gives you everything that you want and more. And of course, I am sure it's going to be successful. So thank you. Bye.